Welcome back to the show. Today I'm going to try to figure out what is the most overrated basketball skill, or at least overrated skill in the NBA. Because before the NBA, most of the time, the most important skill is just speed and strength. Those aren't even really skills, they're more like attributes. Most of us have played competitive basketball before at very low levels. And the people who thrived were the big kids, the fast kids, and the strong kids. And even if you played in college, the most dominant players were the freaks of nature. I think the best example of this is Zach Edey. You can make the case that Zach Edey is the best college basketball player of all time. While Zach Edey was at Purdue, he won the NCAA Player of the Year in 2003. He also won the Big Ten MVP and he won the Big Ten Tournament MVP. He won a bunch of other awards too. Zach Edey was 7'4", he was averaging 13 rebounds a game and 22 points. Hands down the most valuable player in college basketball, and it was not close. So come draft time, Zach Edey enters his name in the draft, but then he withdraws his name. So why would he do that? It's because he was not projected to go in the first round. That's crazy. He was the most dominant player in college. Yet there were like 30 other college players that were projected to go before him in the draft. It's not crazy because Zach Edey's size and strength advantage does not go as far in the NBA. Edey was not going to be a foot taller than everyone in the NBA like he was in the NCAA. So Zach Edey goes back to college, he wins all those awards again, he averages 24 points a game, he leads the NCAA in scoring, even makes it to the NCAA finals, so then he enters the NBA draft again in 2024. A particularly weak draft, you think he would go number 1 overall, right? Wrong, the Grizzlies select him 9th. Donovan Clingan, another NCAA center, goes before him, just because he had a more versatile skill set than Edey did. So before the NBA, skill itself is less important. So if you're picking teams for a game at the park, always pick the tall guy first. So I recently heard Mitchell Robinson does not consider himself a shot blocker. Like he doesn't want to be considered a shot blocker and he says he doesn't block shots. Which is weird because you'd think a guy with a limited skill set like Mitch would want to highlight the skills that he does have. But Mitch is actually right. Early in his career, Mitchell Robinson was a shot blocker and he was one of the best. His rookie season, he was 2nd overall in blocks per game. Shout out Miles Turner, he was number 1. But his blocks have gone down from the start of his career. Right now, he only averages like 1 block a game. Mitchell Robinson is not being self-deprecating, nor is he acknowledging a decline in his game. Mitchell Robinson knows that blocks are kind of overrated. As cool as block shots are, they're really no different than any other missed shot. And the cooler a block shot is, the more aggressive it is, the more likely it is to fly out of bounds, or be recovered by the offensive team, and then they retain the possession. Unless, of course, the player has mastered the art of the swallow block. Basically, blocking the ball in a downward position so you're able to collect the ball yourself. They don't look as cool and they're a lot more difficult than just swatting the ball into the crowd, but let's be honest, most good defense is pretty boring. So blocking a shot is overrated. It's more advantageous to just contest it. Because when a defender is closing out on a shooting player, the best bet is just creating a difficult shot and then getting the defensive rebound. The defense is just always in the best position to get it. So the goal as a defender should just be make the shot tough, not make contact with the ball. That's the easiest way to end an offensive possession. Also, by not laying out for a block, you never find yourself biting on the pump fake. Fully committing to the block leaves a path to the rim wide open. So a conservative approach to defense is really the best. The only block a player should go for is a block from behind, like in a chase down block situation, where the player's only chance in impeding the shot is getting a hand on. You can't really put up a good contest if you're behind the shooter. So who are the unsung defenders of the NBA right now? Which NBA player is getting a hand up on every single shot? It's Donovan Clingan, actually, leading the league in contested shots, but he's only 10th in blocks per game. Maybe Donovan Clingan knows the secret to good defense is not rejection, it's deterrence. Now, the original idea for this video was analyzing if rebounding was actually an important skill. I feel like players who get a lot of rebounds don't get a lot of respect. Whenever I talk about someone's rebounds per game, people sort of roll their eyes. And the more I look into it, it's kind of valid. At least defensive rebounds are kind of an overrated statistic. We all know a lot of defensive rebounds are kind of gimmies. A lot of the time, the offense never even fights for the rebound. The defensive player is always in a good position, and a lot of times the offense just doesn't want to spend the energy. I would notice this when I'd watch those rebound compilations. Like a guy goes off for 30 rebounds and someone will cut together every single rebound. A lot of those rebounds don't necessarily take a whole lot of skill and aren't particularly impressive. But offensive rebounds are usually well fought for. Offensive rebounds take a lot of effort because you're usually not in a position to get the ball. The offense has to squeeze into position because they can't go over the defender's back. That's a foul. So leading the league in offensive rebounds right now is Steven Adams. And the Houston Rockets are averaging more offensive rebounds than any other team. So the Rockets don't need to shoot nearly as well as any other team because Steven Adams is there to hopefully get the rebound and give them a bonus possession. Don't worry, I'm not done talking about rebounds. The NBA actually tracks rebounds that are fought for. They're called contested rebounds, which is a rebound that is collected when a player is within 3.5 feet away from you. Which 3.5 feet, that's pretty generous, right? But look at this. Leading the league in rebounds right now is Jokic with 13.2 a game. He also leads the league in contested rebounds with 6. 6.6 a game, meaning that over half of Jokic's rebounds are uncontested. Here's a fun fact though. Wemby is averaging the second most rebounds per game, but 2/3 of the rebounds he gets are uncontested, which means one of two things. Either players aren't even bothering to go up for a rebound with Wemby, or Wemby's reach is so long that he's always 3.5 feet away from another player. Wemby's tall. He's real tall. Now, the NBA also has a stat called adjusted rebound chance, which is the amount of rebounds they get when they're closest to the ball, excluding a deferred rebound, which just means they let their teammate get it. Basically, how effective a player is at rebounding. And the best rebounder in the NBA right now is Paolo Banchero. He's got the highest percentages in the league. I'm just a messenger. By this point, most people know what the most overrated skill in the NBA is. The most overrated skill in the NBA is isolation scoring. Being able to take a guy one-on-one is just not that important in 5-on-5 basketball. Some of the coolest highlights in the NBA are from ISO scorers. Jordan Clarkson is an incredible scorer. He's got a jump shot, he can shoot threes, he can get to the rim, but he's a guard who can't pass. He does not thrive in a team setting. So a lot of these guys like Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford, Nick Young, they all thrive as six men. They play better with the second unit, a bunch of guys who can't score as well. A guy who can score on his own is useful when all the starters are catching their breath. So I think a player that is destined to be a really good six-man is Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is a consistent 20 points per game scorer. Last year, he averaged over 24 points a game. The Brooklyn Nets didn't want to sign him to a long-term deal last summer. They weren't interested, and the reason is Cam Thomas doesn't pass the ball. He's incompatible with most offenses in the league. In fact, on October 26th, Cam Thomas had a 41-point game. Very impressive. Most NBA players cannot score 40 points in a game. But the weird thing was, Cam Thomas had 0 assists. That's very unusual. The Nets lost that game to the Spurs. One player getting 40 points and 0 assists is not winning basketball. So what is the most important skill in the NBA? I hate to say it because it's my least favorite part of watching an NBA game. It's the skill of getting fouled. Being able to take a shot, draw contact, and make that shot. All the best players in the NBA get to the foul line. Jokic, Brunson, Giannis. All these big-time scorers get a lot of their points at the charity stripe. A lot of these big scoring nights are all thanks to foul shots. I remember watching Donovan Mitchell's 71-point game, and it didn't feel like he was necessarily lighting it up. And one of the reasons is Donovan Mitchell got 20 of those points at the foul line. He shot 25 free throws against the Bulls that night. I'm not saying it wasn't impressive. I'm just saying you don't see a lot of 70-point games and not hear a lot of whistles. And the other important part of this skill is making your free throws. I think we would talk about Giannis in the same way that we talk about Jokic if Giannis would just make more free throws. He gets to the free throw line more than any other player, meaning he's the most effective by his bad free throw shooting. If he were to increase his free throw percentage to 80%, he would add over 2 points to his scoring every game. He would have taken the scoring title from Embiid in 2023, and maybe he would have taken his MVP too. All right, thank you for being here so much, and I love you all because you like the video. My love is conditional. There's a Patreon. Check out the Patreon. $2 a month, weekly podcast every Saturday. I love you. Again, I don't know if I said that. Be good to your mom. Leave a comment.